What's going on YouTube? We're back here with another video on KO09, man. We're going to be doing the guide for Narja. We're going to be going through everything, best epiphanies, best partners, save data you probably want to aim for, obviously, potential priorities and memory fragments you could use, and is she worth getting dupes on. So first off, we're going to start off with cards. You have Shackles of Hunger, multi-hit, gives you veracity as well on attunement. So for the people that don't know what attunement is, every time this card is drawn, you're basically going to get full veracity. Then her epiphany cards over here, even though this epiphanizes as well. You have Bottomless Hunger, you have Voluntary Control, Domain of Veracity, and Mealtime. Alongside that, we also have her Ego skill that gives 10 Veracity, 250% defense based damage, and if Mealtime is in Graveyard, 5 Predation. Going through a kit, you probably could realize she revolves a lot around Veracity and Predation, and they're basically just two buffs that stack as well, and one of the buff is to give you healing too. Yeah, overall, great support character. That's her cards. Now we're gonna get into our partners. Now, as you can see right here, I have Gaia. Obviously, most of the time when a character comes out, their partner that comes out with them is probably gonna be best in slot. In this case, it's the same with Narja, of course, but you do have other partners like Alyssa, you have Yvonne, and there's a few others as well. You've got Nyx here, and you've also got Arbon here. I don't know if I'm missing out on any. If I am, I apologize, I just don't have them, but I'm gonna go off the ones I have. So Nyx, even though the controller additional effect ain't gonna be doing too much for Narja, this ego skill is always gonna be amazing. Okay, being able to discard 3 cards, get them 3 cards plus 1, it's always gonna be nice. So Nyx isn't too bad of an option if you're using Narja in a certain way. Like if you're straight up just using Narja as a character that's just getting you a whole bunch of veracity and predation, maybe running the Nyx ain't too bad, because all that defense based stuff you probably don't need if you're just using her to buff your other DPS units and to heal basically. This one here increased the assigned combatant's health and heal amount by 10%, and equal to the number of enemies with attack intentions. Incoming damage is reduced by 15%, which is pretty nice, and upon activation, remove chair up and stacks up to 3 times, right? Heal 200%, 1 damage reductions. I wouldn't use this. I just wouldn't do it. You know, I don't think it's worth it. You got Yvonne here. The increased combatant's defense is increased by 8%. When the assigned combatant does not use an attack card by the end of their turn, heal 30% to recover health at the start of turn. Another one I'll skip on, even though it does give defense. The thing is, Narja does have attack cards that you're probably going to use, but maybe if you did build her in a certain way where you're not using attack cards, maybe something like this could work. Now, the one that I think second best for her is gonna be Alyssa, right? The assigned combatant's defense is increased by 12%, which is gonna be nice because she scales off that, of course, and that end of battle recover 3% health doesn't really matter. Heal 100%, which could always be nice at certain times if you're about to die or something. 1 morale for 1 turn, which could also be nice too, just to deal extra damage, and increase heal amount by 50% when below 30% HP. So this ego skill is really good if, you know, you're really low in health, and you know, because you're going to be dealing damage to technically heal, that 1 morale can come in clutch as well, and obviously the defense is always going to be nice. So I would say if you don't go for the partner Gaia, Alyssa is probably the next best in slot for her. Then at first, we obviously have Gaia. Increase the assigned combatant's defense by 8%. It's going to be amazing because she scales off that. Plus 20% defense based damage amount to the assigned combatant's instincts card, which is amazing, especially if you want to build some sort of DPS Narja as well. Gaia really helps with that. When using a unique attack card of the assigned combatant with an original cost of 6, obviously indicating to Mealtime, plus 20% 2 damage amount of all allies, max 1 stack, which is also nice. And her ego skill is also amazing and really unique because it scales higher. It's not always just at 60%. If you're buffing your defense based damage, this is also going to go up higher. So even though Narja could buff up defense based damage by herself, if there's other characters in the future that could do it, you know, this could end up being an insane percentage. Plus the fact that it's a multi-hit is kind of insane, because obviously if you've played this game, you know multi-hitting is insane. And it also draws 1 attack card, which is really nice, and it's only 3 EP, which is really cheap. Next up, we're going to get into save data / builds. I personally don't have the best ones, but I could give you guys an idea of what I'm trying to build. So this one here is more of a DPS Narja. As you can see, is ×4 hit. It gives me 6 veracity every time it's drawn. This gives me 10 veracity and 1 predation each time a certain card that I choose is moved to hand. It gives me 1 morale as well because I have the Epiphany. 102% defense based damage to all enemies for 2 turns plus 100% defense based damage taken. This stacks up really well with the Bottomless Hunger that gives me 100% defense based damage. So when I want to nuke with Mealtime, Forbidden Ecstasy, or even with Shackles of Hunger, I could do a lot of good damage. You know, this is not the most optimal DPS build, but you could see the idea with it. This was my first run. It's just a build where I wanted to get a whole bunch of veracity. If I could change it, I would get remove these 2 cards over here, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's better to have Shackles of Hunger, because at least when Shackles of Hunger is drawn, you're getting a whole bunch of veracity, unlike these ones where you have to use the card. So I don't know, I think it's better to get a whole bunch of Shackles of Hunger that give you a lot of veracity if you want to go for like a high veracity build. So where's the one that gives you 6 veracity? I think that's the one to go for. If you could get like 3 to 4 of those, so every time it's drawn you're getting that veracity, I think that could be amazing build. So just a high veracity build, you know, just to do a whole bunch of more damage and to heal a whole bunch more. You know, there's a build which I'll call a perfect Serennial support here. As you can see, increase tenacity damage taken of the target by 100% until their next Ravage, and on Ravage 3 veracity. That's going to be really nice for a character like Serennial. You know, obviously with having some Shackles of Hunger for that veracity. You know, with a Bottomless Hunger, you could go decrease the cost of 2 cards. You could go the one that gives you 3 veracity, other cards that give you more veracity and predation. Especially the first one here is really good. Another build you could go for is an attack card buff build with this voluntary control here. So for characters like Chizuru, maybe even Maylin, you have that voluntary control. You know, especially with the card that decreases cost of 2 random cards by 1, that could work really well with Chizuru's one as well. All of a sudden you got a whole bunch of cards that don't really cost anything. There's also another build which I would like to call a DPS/nuke build, where maybe you have this Bottomless Hunger, maybe, you know, copying it before Epiphanies, and you know, the one Epiphany you could choose this one, and the other Epiphany you choose this one. This will give you 7 veracity for 1 turn. Each time veracity is activated, plus 40% damage amount. So you could basically stack a high damage amount to Mealtime, you know, and you could end up just nuking with it and just doing a crap ton of damage. And if you got a whole bunch of Shackles of Hunger that's just multi-hitting, and alongside with all the buffs you have, it could be really nice. So you could build Narja in so many different ways, and I think that's what makes her so fun. You could go straight up for a veracity predation buff build. You could go for a basic attack buff build. You could go for a straight healer build if you want. You could go for a DPS build. You could go for some DPS/Mealtime nuke build. You could build it in a lot of different ways, which is amazing. Now we're getting into her potentials, the ones that you want to level up. You want to skip over these 2 because you're not going to be using those cards. You're probably going to be getting rid of them. This one you can level up if you really want to, since if you're going to be using this card a lot, and obviously this card. So this 100% can be worth leveling up. Same with the defense, you know, just to get the higher defense because she scales off it, and this as well to just get that max crit chance, which your boy's going to quickly level up right now. This one you can skip over because you're not going to be using those cards because you're going to be getting rid of them. This one you definitely want to level up because there's an extra 30% predation damage if you have 300 defense and higher, which shouldn't be too hard to get. As you can see, I have 354 with these type of memory fragments. So that's what you want to do with the potentials. With the memory fragments, you could run something I'm running. You could run the Forcer Instinct one, where it's like if the enemy is ravaged, you do 50% more damage, or well, 50% more damage to your instinct cards. You could run that. Yeah, you could run anything. It really depends how you want to build it. If you want to build some type of DPS, obviously you might want to get that crit damage in there. She scales off defense, so having that as well is pretty nice. You know, you could really just go with anything and it will pretty much work. Then last but not least, we have her Manifest Egos. personally, I will say is you could just skip over it. You don't need her dupes. You know, I think going forward, just getting dupes of limited characters is probably going to be the best way to go. But you don't need dupes for her, and you know, yeah, she just doesn't need it. They're not bad, you know. This increases predation by 2. You know, more predation, more damage. It's not that bad. You know, when veracity decreases, has a 25% chance to gain 1, especially when you've got a whole bunch stacked up and you're using them. Like, you're probably gonna gain them. You know, this one's probably not bad as well, plus 30% damage amount, like another 30%. Like, it's not bad. You know, you're definitely gonna do a lot more damage, but I don't think it's really needed. But look, that's going to be it for the Narja guide. We went through everything, went through her partners, potentials, memory fragments, dupes, save datas that you could probably aim for. And I'll probably have other videos going a bit more specifically into those builds. But that's going to be it from now. Like, subscribe, and up. Catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.